and welcome to the Empire Beat Magazine podcast hosted by Michael D. Thomas. We believe in the power of positivity and the ability of individuals to make a difference. Join us as we encounter remarkable people who have overcome challenges, spread kindness, and created positive change in their surroundings.
Well, hello. Welcome to Empire Beat Magazine's podcast. And today we're going to be discussing the pros and cons of using AI as a writing tool. And for this subject, I have one of my good friends who I know is really qualified to talk about this subject. And his name is Charles L. Chatmon. And I've known Charles for a long time. But with that said, I'm going to let Charles introduce himself to you. And Charles, I'm going to let you take it away.
Thank you. Yes, I'm a native of LA, California. Been here most of my life. I'm also have been a teacher. I'll do that now, substitute teacher. Also a proofreader for a biomedical company. I've done it all, basically. But I love to write, and I've been writing for a long time, since junior high, or you call middle school now, and I've said that in detail so many times, but I've written a long time. I was a sports editor of my high school newspaper, so I've always been involved in writing. I'm the author of 4 books, possibly 5. We're trying to get the 5th one out the way. I'm sure we're going to discuss that. Also, that I have taught writing workshops at the AC Billboard Library and the African American Museum and Library in Oakland. I was the executive director of the LA Black Book Expo for about 5 years, 6 years, depending on who you talk to. And as Michael said, I've known him for a long time. We met at a certain event in the Inland Empire, and we've been friends ever since.
Perfect. I understand. It's been a long time, and like I said, it's hard to believe how long we've known each other. I'm hoping it's 10, but I know it's, like you said, I think it's more like 20. So it goes back. So AI's influence on the writing process, both for creating and logistically. Are there specific aspects where you see AI most profoundly affecting your work?
If you hear the noise overhead, I'm under a flight path. The airport is not too far from where I live, so that's why you constantly hear the engine noise. But I would say artificial intelligence is here to stay. It's a tool. I look at it as a tool. Of course, your opinion varies as far as its role with authors and writing and what we do. But I look at it as a tool. I think I mentioned before in a past interview that I used AI to describe my characters. I would type in my prompt about the characters I wrote for a novel I plan to publish one day, and it came up with my characters perfectly, the way that I had pretty much described them. So they also gave me a little bit more insight about my characters' motivations and also what their goal is. So it really helps. It's a tool. I haven't used it for poems yet because that's a whole different genre all itself. But it's funny. The other day I was trying to find out a way to send a thank you letter to my mailing list, which I haven't sent yet. But I used AI to fill out the thank you letter, and it was perfect. It was everything I asked for. So I look at AI as a tool, something I can use when I'm not thinking of anything in the moment. I want to make it sound right. But again, AI is always looked at as this evil contraption that is trying to take over our industry and replace us as authors. And I think that's a little bit of the fear that goes into it. But I would just say we have to enjoy it for what it is right now. It's a tool. We can use it. It helps us produce better content. So that's why I look at it that way.
And like it's been said, if you don't jump on board now, you're going to be left behind. So you might as well just enjoy it, learn it, and use it to the best of your ability without cheating. basically. So that's how I look at it, and it's definitely a big time saver, if nothing else. And it makes me write a whole lot better. Now I seem like I'm smart. But anyway, that's not a story. It's another story we'll go into later.
Feel smart too, yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing how it can take an average sentence and just make it into something really creative. And that I would spend 15, 20 minutes or even an hour trying to come up with. You know, if you take you back to your old high school writing days and you had to do an essay, um, still have nightmares about that, and I like to write. But even then, coming up with something that hasn't been said or has the word creativity jumps in, it took a while. So now, with my grandkids, it's a matter of making sure they are really writing it. Like one of my neighbors told me, her son was using words he'd never used before in his life to turn in an essay for his class. His mom made him rewrite it. When's the last time you used this word ever? So, and that's the way teachers are looking at it now too. So if you don't have this in your vocabulary on a day-to-day basis, you may not want to use it when you're trying to pass the exam. As you know, as a teacher, I don't know how, maybe you can delve into that. How does it affect you as a teacher, or has it?
Well, the example that you shared was a very good example because that's what you have to look out for. I mean, students who are probably struggling with their English core English class, and when they turn in an essay or written piece of work, and they come up with words like, "I know this student didn't write this," yeah, it makes you question that. It was something that it's like the last time I spoke about the subject. That anytime now we publish a book, we have to put 100% organically generated to our work. And then that's something we might require the students to do. Like, this is 100% organically created, because when they use AI to shortcut, they're going to use AI to shortcut, then it's not really their work. Like, but I think there are times when students will use AI to write essays because they want to uh, do their best to pass the class and not have a low grade. But that's just like the same argument people have against us as authors, that, well, these are not really your words, because if it's not your style, then people can recognize your style and they will say, oh, this must be AI generated. But as I was saying in a previous interview, that it's almost come to the point. In fact, I did this during the last interview for the draft, or um, for the edited draft for my next book. I had to put 100% organically generated. So when people see it, they know the whole book is written by me. It's not AI, nothing to do with AI. No one
Mm-hmm.
created the cover for AI for the artwork. That's a good friend of mine did that. But I find that's the same criticism that students are going to have to face, because when I ever have a classroom and a student turns in the paper and I recognize the student's writing style, and they're like you mentioned, they put in big words that they don't use these words
Mm-hmm.
on a daily basis, then that will make me a little bit suspect. The same kind of suspicion that readers will have of us as authors when they see our books, and they know that's not this kind of story we write, or the characters we write in such great detail. So we have to always be on guard for that. Myself as a teacher, I have to be on guard for students who will try to shortcut and use AI to write an essay so they can pass. Or
Mm-hmm.
myself as an author, I have to make sure that I let the readers know when they buy my books that it is 100% organically generated and not anything produced by AI.
And that's amazing. I wonder how many authors are going to follow suit. I would say maybe 10% at the most.
5%.
Yeah, I think you're right. I was trying to be generous, but I see it all the time, and that's not happening.
Yeah.
So I think the best you can hope for is, say, was find out who they're quoting and sort of put that in somewhere as a citation. But as far as people putting in generated by AI and to help me 90% of the time, that's not going to work. I mean, it's just realistically, you just have to make sure in your mind that you're doing the right thing. It's all up to you, how you feel about yourself.
Well,
And
there's so many authors and there's so many books out now that it's hard to keep track unless you're a bigger name. Like someone say, Michael Conley is not going to produce anything AI with his Bosch novels, not at all, because
Mhm.
everyone knows of his track record, or James Patterson. But someone like say myself, who's really on a certain level, they're gonna really think twice before like buying that book because they may imagine that. Well, these aren't not really his words. I'm not really familiar with this author, so this may be AI generated, but this book is too well written. He can't write that, but I would,
Yeah.
But lucky for me, I have a track record of written work, so people they want to take a look, they can easily find me and easily write the past articles I've written for newspapers and magazines. But for someone who's starting out, a new author, and I count a new author, so I was teaching writing workshops yearly. They would say that, okay, I'm kind of suspicious of this new guy because this new person just is writing this book is too well written. I have to check and see his AI, but you never really can. But that that's kind of the suspicion that I would look at a student when they turn an essay and it's like, oh, I don't think he wrote this dog. So
Hmm.
I
And
would just
especially,
say, go ahead.
yeah, especially if you've known this person from the past,
Yeah,
and they probably averaged a D in English.
yeah,
All of a sudden, they're writing stellar books with stellar thoughts and stellar poise, prose, and everything else. It's you sort of think in the back of your mind, where'd this come from?
right. Yeah, they're quoting closely to James Baldwin's written. I'm like, okay, this person is not who I
it,
think they are. I'm
it,
just gonna think, right? That I've read your work in the past. I would just say,
yeah,
this
and,
is the
and
new world we live in. And like I said, so only if you look at it only as a tool to help you improve your writing, that's one thing. But if you use it as a shortcut to get ahead of to get a headline of all the other authors who are trying to grind to get their work out there, then it's not really the best idea.
do you use AI for checking your grammar, for editing, or what are your favorite tools that you would use AI for, if you did?
See, I think Chat GPT is what I use now,
Okay.
and there are different versions of Chat GPT. I think they're in version 4 right now.
Yeah,
So
they
I'm
have a
using
pro version now,
yeah pro version. Yeah, where I'm using like the basic version because I just
3.5.
yeah I'm using the basic version so I can
Mm-hmm.
just kind of because I like to write. I know people use Chat GPT for art, and that's cool, but I'm just using it for writing and for typing up suggestions for characters for stories or and like you said editing. I'm going to edit it's probably articles. Um, if I'm asked to write an article for a newspaper or magazine that I'm going to submit, I will use that for that purpose. But other than
Mm-hmm.
that, I would just say, you know, um, that's all we use it for.
Perfect. I think that's what most people are use it for now, and I think that's why it's so popular.
Right,
If you don't know what Chat GPT is now, you're under a rock somewhere.
it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, just as an end note, looking forward, how do you envision the future collaboration between writers and AI? What strategies or approaches do you think writers can employ to harness the benefits of AI while preserving the distinct human touch in their work? That's a
Okay.
big one.
It's a good question. It's a good question. So I'll break this down. I would say when I worked for that biomedical company years ago, I was under the impression that I was a temp worker until they installed a proofreading machine, proofreading software into the system. And of course, I think I probably said the last time that they didn't, when they installed it, it didn't come out right. The first version did not come out right. So I had stayed a little longer than I had planned to. I was going to be there for like 1 or 2 years and wound up staying like 6, or 8.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which is good, because they paid well. But I would just say that with technology the way it is now, AI is definitely a tool that we mentioned is here to stay, and it's going to be here to stay in the world of literature because it's so many. I mean, words are so easy to change and manipulate and whatever that you want to use them for. So having software like artificial intelligence do the writing for you, and that's basically what is the heart of the argument. Is all this is that how many are are legit writers, legit authors, and how many are using the software to help them get ahead, to get in front of the line, to become a published author. I
Yeah.
so I just say that um, that's really the argument here is that do you use AI to become a published author on your own, or do you use AI because you saw someone become a bestseller and you said I can do that. All I do is go into my AI program, whether it be Chat GPT or Bing or whatever, and produce this nonfiction or fictional book, and guess what? I'm in front of the line. But it really doesn't work that way. It should never work that way because a lot of the readers appreciate our hard work in doing the research. And not to say that we can't use AI for research. I plan to use AI for research, which will help be a good time waste because I use the internet already. But to use that as research, as for other tools to help us produce a better story or better nonfiction book, rather than for that technology to do the work for us, because readers, like as we mentioned before, readers they will now start to question us whether or not we actually wrote the book or not. And I think for someone like myself who's been writing for a long time, I want to make sure that people understand I have a track record. I produce a lot of works on my own, and the words that I write are my words. They're not generated by a computer, but really by my own hands.
I love your answer on this too. Now, let's get back to you a little bit. And for people who don't know, give us a little rundown on your latest books and what's coming out. What do we have to look forward to in your future?
Okay, so let me start with the most recent novel. My first one, um, it's a young adult book called Relay. It's set in the San Fernando Valley, mostly a school called Appleton High School. A the varsity track team, they're all seniors. This is their last shot to win a state championship. They've been close before, but now this is the last chance to win a state championship. They're facing a rival school, a team that from some other place that they don't even know each other. But this team is getting a lot of attention on their own because they're winning races as well. So the two teams are in the collision course to meet for to challenge for the state championship. Meanwhile, the team itself has to deal with tragedy. It has to deal with a few issues of love and fitting in and things like that. Something happens to one of the team members that they have to allow another team member or someone from a lower squad to join them, and how they have to fit in, and how the varsity has to work together as a team because this new member is from a different race, so they have to learn how to work together, and they do. But they also have their own personal issues too because they're seniors. One has an issue of romance, the other one has an issue of identity in school, where he's being taught in college. The other one is basically what's he going to do with his future because something happens to him that he has to deal with, start considering his future down the line. And of course, their coach has an interest. He's an interesting plot line too, where he has to deal with something in his past that he has to reconcile and learn to deal with. He's always being pointed out for what he did in his past. So it's a very interesting novel. Hope that people will support it. You can. It's on Amazon. It is on Barnes and Noble's website too. All you gotta do is order the book, and you will have have a copy relay at your door. So the one before that, and this one is an anthology of short stories and poems that I've written. It's Stormwell South Central. And Stormwell South Central has interesting stories, I'd say engaging stories, and interesting poems. And some of the short stories are Father's Day, which is a young boy going to see his father. There was something mysterious happened to his father, so he's going to see him. Or a story like The Party, which that turns out to be a celebration, and then all of a sudden it turns out to be a tragic event. The title of the book, Storm of South Central, about a storm that appears out of nowhere and changes the whole community, if not everywhere else. Also, very interesting, funny stories like "Do Fries Go with That Snake?" Right? It's a variation of that song "Do Fries Go with That Shake" by George Clinton. But I wrote that same year, and I was like, I'm gonna have fun with this, right? And it's really fun with it. So I like to write funny stories like that. The same kind of comedic story can be in the "Don't Judge a Bum" by, in which you have somebody complaining about women, a certain type of women, and he meets this person on the rail line going home, and this person may or may not be who they seem to be. You have to read to find out. And also Last Night at the Club, in which there's a little bit of history of South LA before the nightclubs, like the hotels used to be there, the Dunbar and all the rest. But this is a different fictional nightclub in the middle of South Central Avenue, back in the late 1920s. And how does this person arrive at that place? You have to find out for yourself. So, along with the short stories, I may miss one or two. It's okay. There are poems too that are in there that you may like. So, I hope that the public will enjoy reading the book. That's all. It's also found on Amazon or Barnes and Noble. All you gotta do is log in and look up the book, type it up, and say you want to read it.
I'm going to link your website and your information in your bio.
Okay.
So people can go there and take a good long look, and even, if they have any questions for you, they can shoot you an email.
Yeah.
And, I know you're the kind of person that's always there to help.
Right.
And now how how I like to end the podcast is, do you have any advice for up and coming writers or creatives? That's one.
Okay.
And the second part of this question is there anything you'd like to add to the conversation that we might have missed?
Okay. I did want to say, just before I answer those questions, is that I've also written two books. One book may not be available, but you can probably order it on Amazon, which is The Depths of My Soul. That's been out for a long time, and I think that's out of stock now, but give it a try. And the current one is The Voices of South Central. It's mostly poems, which talk about the community and love and all the other subjects, social commentary, they like to say. So it's on my website, and you go to charleslchapmon.com/books. You'll be able to see the books and also the links to what Michael was talking about as far as Amazon and Barnes and Noble. So if you go there and look under the book section, you'll find everything, all my written works there. So now to answer your question, so I didn't mean to be so long-winded, but I want to say that you know, my advice to up-and-coming authors is that all you have to do is write. I mean, every author out there, big or small, especially the best-selling authors, will always say to up-and-coming authors, write. Just write. Do your research. Read. Definitely read a lot, because you'll gain a lot of ideas from reading. Get as many sources as you can. Read. Um, I grew up and took a lot of English courses when I was in college, so I read a lot there, so I get most of my ideas from what I read. But read the Shakespeare, read everything that you can, because once you do, it'll inspire you to become an author. And I know today, these days and times, we're all focused on visual media, but people still like to read. Uh, I know the trend is to write series, whereas Harry Potter or the Lord of the Rings or whatever, if that's what you want to do, you can create a world and just write a series. Or you want to write a one-off story, you can do that too. So again, just read, write, get as much information as you can, do as much research as you can, and that'll help you in your writing journey. A lot of authors or would-be authors who come to the workshops, I tell them the same thing as far as marketing and as far as getting your work out there. And a venue like this is something that you can also use to help promote yourself as an author. So take the chance and get start writing.
All right, Charles, I want to thank you for this conversation. Like I said, you're one of my favorite guests, and you will definitely be back again because we have so much we still need to cover. But with that said, I'm going to leave this podcast now, and I just want to let people know to look out for our next coming event. I'm trying to do these weekly now, so I'd appreciate all the support I could get. And once again, thanks for listening in. And Charles, have a great day.
You too. Thank you so much for inviting me. Appreciate it.
Thank you for tuning in to the Empire Beat Magazine podcast. And if you enjoyed today's episode, we kindly ask you to subscribe and share it with your friends and family. Until next time, stay inspired, stay positive, stay curious, stay strong, and we'll catch you on the next episode.